Hi there guys, welcome to this quick video on what works for me with a 2080 Super at 1080p native in Black Myth Wukong's benchmark. I do not show my native resolution here, but it is 1080p and I do not run with it scaled lower than that. It's at 100% scaling and it has frame gen on, as I showed just now. I initially started off trying this benchmark, this Black Myth Wukong benchmark with Daniel Owen's settings. I recommend you check his YouTube channel out. He's got some great content, but his settings didn't really work well for me. So I went, after a couple runs, couple tweaks, I got very confused because the game wasn't showing much of a change from low to cinematic qualities in some cases. It's strange. So I dropped everything to low and I just started increasing things and seeing what worked for me. And eventually I turned on frame generation as well because I was hesitant due to the input lag implications of that, but I feel like it's just too hard to turn down that extra 30-40 FPS, you know? Because if I didn't have that enabled right now, I'd probably be getting 40 FPS. I just want to also mention, this is running with OBS recording in the background, so please note that it's going to probably be about 10 to 15% better performance-wise, and I do show that at the end of the video. I show my prior run with the exact same settings without OBS running, and it runs a lot better. So if you want to see that, skip to the end of the video. Ultimately, I also consider DLSR, which is running it at 1440p, even though it's a 1080p native display, and having that downscale so that DLSS thinks that it's running at 1440p and upscales from 1080p instead, and it also just gets a lot crisper, but it's very buggy on Windows, so I try not to use that as much as possible. So this to me is a sort of good middle ground, and there was a lot of like pop-in of shadows and geometry, which is not as bad now. You're still going to notice it. There's still traversal stutter as well, which also was a lot worse before. Frame gen really helps with that. So it's not perfect, but it's not as bad as it could be. Also, I want to also add that even though the frame rate seems relatively high to some people at 85 FPS, 90 FPS, it is almost certain that this game is going to tank hard in combat with lots of enemies. This benchmark itself, if you've noticed so far, has not got many enemies in it. We've passed 2 or 3 enemies, that's about it, in that river section. It doesn't really show how the game is going to, the engine is going to handle, let's say game because it's running Unreal Engine, which is quite synonymous with other games. But yeah, it's going to run a lot worse in higher intensity scenes. So it's better to have that buffer, I would say. So I do show here, like I said, what my previous run would be. So just wait for that. I'm just showing my current run and all the settings in case you didn't catch them at the beginning of the video. But yeah, I hope this helps someone. I hope, you know, this is what I found worked for me. I'm not an expert. I would suggest checking Digital Foundry's video when they do their optimized settings, because they're usually really good at that. But this is what worked for me in the benchmark. I have no idea if it's going to have a lot of input lag, considering the fact that it uses frame gen, but I would say 100 FPS sort of isn't too bad. But yeah, I hope that helps, and let me know if you found different results in the settings due to your GPU maybe being more modern than mine, not being a 2080 Super, but maybe being in the 30 series or the 40 series and having better support for modern features, like mesh shaders or whatever it might be. And yeah, have a great day. Cheers.